Thank you for listening to this episode of the Lifeguard Project podcast, where today I interview Spencer Pirdy. Spencer grew up in Newport Beach, California, was a Newport Beach lifeguard, and most recently, a California State Parks lifeguard. On top of being a very good surfer and just an all-around good guy, Spencer also sits on the board of the Ben Carlson Foundation. He also organizes the Ben Carlson Memorial Paddle, which is a 30-mile paddle aimed to raise funds for the Ben Carlson Foundation, and it goes from Catalina Island to Newport Beach. It's been going strong for the last 10 years, and last year raised over $250,000. Spencer is also involved in communities like Puerto Escondido, where the foundation partners with the Big Wave Risk Assessment Group and others to provide water safety to other communities. Today, we get into his early influences in lifeguarding, when his brother was a lifeguard, when he first met Ben Carlson, working in Newport Beach, and much more. Thanks as always for listening. All right. Spencer, we're live.
All right, Trosco, we are here, man. This is so cool.
Let's do it. All right, so I always start the conversation with just, tell me where you grew up, kind of where you got started with life.
Yeah, so I grew up right here in Newport Beach, California. Kind of a dream, I grew up in Dover Shores, which is just if you keep going down 17th Street here, another 3 minutes down the road, and I grew up in this quaint little neighborhood. Mom and dad were always there. Just a great upbringing. I think the first time I ever remember being in the water was like swim lessons when I was it was literally when I was 2. I think I was thrown in a pool, and my mom has a picture of me with like white blonde hair. And it's so funny. It's like exactly what lifeguards look for in a rescue. Hair in the face, like arm reaching out for help while the head's going under. And that's like me on my first swim lesson. I'm pretty sure. I'll have to
get that photo.
It's pretty cool. It's really funny. It looks like a full blown like rescue, but I'm just like learning to swim.
What's your earliest memory of like water or whatever? Was it surfing? Was it swimming? Was it?
I think it was,
you can think of.
I remember little moments if I go back in my memory of like being in a pool and all that, but the fondest memories I have are of my mom and dad getting my brother and I boogie boards for like when I was 4 or 5 and Travis, my older brother, was 6 or 7 and taking us down to Big Corona. And just like, it was like Christmas Day. So it was freezing for us, but like we got these little wetsuits that were like spring suits and we were so stoked. Like my dad would always say, God rest his soul. Love you, Dad. He would always say, you came in from like this little 2-inch, like whitewash. And you were like, did you see me? Did you see me? I was in the curl. Like, I'm like claiming stuff like that already, of course.
Yeah. The early days was just, you're waiting for 2 pieces of whitewash to double.
Yeah.
It's like the most exciting.
Oh, and it was a blast though. We're so lucky to wherever you are in the world, you have what you love if you grew up in the mountains or wherever. But I mean, we're so lucky to grow up here and have access to the ocean and access to these fun things that we get to do.
For sure.
So,
when was your first experience with being a lifeguard and thinking of that as an option?
So I think it started off as like junior lifeguards, for me and my brother. And my dad was a huge proponent for becoming a lifeguard. He never like pressured us, but he was like, you could just tell he never was a lifeguard himself, but he was a surfer and an ocean goer and loved being around the ocean and had such immense respect for lifeguards. When we were down at the beach, he would stop and see what the lifeguards were doing. And like, as little kids, be like, look, see what's going on right here. Like, he taught us to respect lifeguards, that they had just such a huge duty and job at the beach. And so I think that little seed of like, just always having this awe and love for lifeguards. Through junior guards, it was just like, all right, you could see it, like at age like 12, I was like, all right, we're going to be, all right. My brother first was the one to try out. I remember going to his tryout on a stormy day in March. I think they had to do it. They had to like move the tryout because it was so stormy in the ocean. They still did it in the ocean, but it was like they moved the course. And then 2 years later, it was up to me, and I was a cadet before that. So that kind of like grooms you and trains you, gets you ready to be a lifeguard.
What was that little period when your brother was a lifeguard, but you weren't quite there yet?
Yeah. I mean,
did you like go visit him or ask him? Or
yeah.
How was that?
Like I said, like my dad was like wanting to be there my dad would work all day, but then he'd get off around 5 and it was like, all right, what's the family doing? Let's go see Travis, And I remember one time, and I spoke about this story at my dad's, during his eulogy at his funeral. But my dad and my mom and I went down, and this was a huge like moment for me too, that I was really proud of my brother and idolized him and what he was doing and wanted to follow his footsteps. He was like a first year or second year, and he had worked. When you're a rookie, you start on the bay towers, but then at like 5 o'clock, they move you back over. The 9 to 5 guard is off, but you'll work 5 to 7 on the ocean. And so he was like 18 in bay. And they moved him then from 5 to 7 at 18th Street, the Point, like arguably the gnarliest spot besides the Wedge in Newport, with like big rips and like pretty heavy hollow waves. And I remember we rolled up, and my dad would always wear this like straw hat to, protect him from the sun, but it's like a lifeguard hat.
Yeah.
And we roll up, and my dad's like, oh, look. And the truck was coming over, and then the supervisor truck and the Travis buoy was gone. Like he was out making a rescue. And we rolled up right when he was bringing the victim in. And my dad was standing there like this. My mom was like, ooh, and I'm just like, whoa, this is real. Like he's doing the deal right now. He's helping this guy. And the supervisor at the time was this guy, Mike Halfide. And he kind of saw us. He knew my dad and everything. And he like got out of his truck, and just as Trav was walking the victim up, he just started clapping. And it was so cool. It was like my dad must have just been pouring with like how proud he was, like,
Sure.
Like oozing with joy, because, it was like his son doing something that he just respected so much. And that for sure fired me up to, a year later, I think, is when I tried out. And
yeah. So you got into that whole stream, junior guards. You got an early awareness from your folks, and hey, like respect the ocean, respect the lifeguards, because a lot of people don't do that with their kids at the beach. They're just going and the lifeguard's watching, right?
No,
but I think that's a pretty cool like detail in that. He thought that was valuable.
Absolutely.
To pass on that awareness, really, as a kid, because you don't care about it as a kid. You want to just go in the water, but he gave you that kind of, and then to see your older brother do a real rescue with a bunch of people, that's a cool little.
It was amazing to see, and like a moment I'll always remember for the Pirdy family,
Thanks for making it this far into the podcast. I just want to remind you guys as you're listening that the Ben Carlson Memorial Paddle is coming up, and it is a fundraising event. This year specifically, I've made a challenge through the Lifeguard Project for lifeguards to donate just $5 through the Lifeguard Project on the Mighty Cause website. You'll have the link below in the episode. And if you click, I just want to see how many lifeguards we can get to donate $5, basically the equivalent of a morning coffee, and see how much we can raise. So whether you're a lifeguard in Australia, New Zealand, the US, East Coast, West Coast, the goal is that you look at this link, send it to another lifeguard, and encourage them to donate $5. So please and thank you, check the link, donate $5, send it to another lifeguard, and let's see how much money we can raise together by just dropping in $5. And thank you so much.
But I think it, like what you just touched on, is like, it's such a like simple thing to do with, and I hope I definitely am going to try as hard as I can to always do that if and when I have children of my own. Because instilling that respect for nature, and for also those that are working a job to serve the public. I think it helps that young person when they grow to just like be humble with Mother Nature, to, be very thoughtful when dealing with somebody who's working to serve the public, and also gives them the, like the urgency maybe one day to go out and serve the public themselves. Like,
Absolutely.
And I think that's that. I didn't grow up in like a mountain town, but I would assume, the people there that have grown up, skiing or snowboarding, or just like some guy who grew up on a ranch, they respect the land, like there's certain ways to do it where you respect Mother Nature and all that she gives you. But like with this hand of like, hey, she can turn on me quick. I got to be humble.
And respecting your neighbor and your community and the people that need help that you might not even know.
Yes.
I think that's just a life thing we're generally lacking in society, but without getting too far down that road, that's a cool progression. And then how long did you lifeguard with the Newport Lifeguards?
I was there for 6 summers with them. Yeah. And I got to work with Ben Carlson. That's where I met Ben.
Did you guys meet through lifeguarding?
We did. Yeah. That's how I remember I've told this story before, but like I was a rookie and I broke his tower, and it was a cold, like almost June gloom, like right now day, and super windy. And I broke his tower. He was up by where he was living at the time by Frog House. I think it was like Tower 65 or 68. And it was like super quick interaction. Like he's like, "What's up, rookie?" Like, okay, cool.
How many years before you was he? You were a rookie.
He was probably like 7 or 8 years into it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cause maybe even more, because.
So you're coming up to the tower all nervous.
Yes. And I know who Ben Carlson is, like he was a legend before anything else, before his final rescue.
And this is your guys' first interaction.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was just like, "What's up? I'm going to get a pizza at Big Belly Deli. Like, you got it?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir." Like, but then we became better friends as it went on, like I expressed interest in like wanting to surf big waves, and he was like, all right. He knew people in Hawaii and Puerto Escondido, and Skeeter Leaper was a big part of that too. And just the older guys like that pave the way and really can help the younger guys. I think that's such a huge opportunity for both the older and younger guys to help and to be helped, along their path. Because you got to realize, like, I mean, I realize it now because I just went through training again 22 years later, a rookie again. But these kids are 16 years old, dude. You're a lifetime away from, I am at least 38 years old. I'm a totally different person than I was at 16. And you don't realize, as maybe sometimes as an older guard, how you can help even just with the little questions or planting little seeds and helping that person along the way. Because it's such a huge job to go into. You're not flipping burgers in and out. You're not just like pouring coffee for somebody or writing an order. You're like, your job is to watch the water and protect people's lives for 8, 9, and you 10 hours.
Getting paid about the same.
Yeah.
As the guard. Yeah. Nothing, not
exactly.
anyone down, but it's just, it's a different world, right?
Yeah.
Let's just go right into that. So you did your time with Newport. You were stepped away from lifeguarding for a little while, but you were always surfing, doing all that stuff. But you just touched on it, and let's go into that with, you just went through lifeguard training again at 38 years old. Why?
The second oldest in my class. There was one other guy who's older.
Oldest.
They called me Uncle Spencer.
So, we obviously know you're doing a bunch of stuff with the Ben Carlson Foundation. You're involved in the community here, but globally too.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff, surfing, etc. But why did you choose to go back through lifeguard training?
So it honestly was something I can't lie, I missed it so much. I mean, lifeguarding is the best job in the world, in my opinion. It is like where you can be at the beach, be in the ocean, be active, but also so fulfilling when you do make that rescue. Or, you know, on Friday, I had 2 lost children that I reunited with their family. You know, like these little kids were bawling, crying, and then they hung out with me at the tower. And guess what? 20 minutes later, they're with their mommy again. Like little things like that you do on a daily basis that is just, you can't really explain it. You know, it's just like makes you feel so good to serve. And I think that's what I missed a lot. Then also there were a couple buddies, Tim Burnham, one of them, who I saw go back through training at a later age in life. Shout out to Tim. And my other buddy, Ryan Balance. And they both worked for the state in Crystal Cove. Mm-hmm. It's also right down the street from where I live with my beautiful fiance, Michelle, and our beautiful little dog, Finn. And they had an August tryout. So like that was just like cha-ching, like perfect. A lot of little things aligned, you know, to make it just seem right. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was a blast.
What was your experience like at training going back through it?
My hamstring's still recovering right now. My experience was, you know, I was lucky. I was swimming a lot. Regardless, I like to train hard to surf bigger waves, and that's like kind of my passion. I like to prone paddle long distances. So I was lucky. I was in good swimming shape to compete against these, you know, my peers who are these 16-year-old like to 18-year-old like water polo phenoms, and you know, guys and girls that are in really good shape. But my experience, I was blown away by it. I really was. You know, I was a Newport guard, and this time around I'm a state guard. I think all lifeguards are equal and they all, you know, do the most amazing job. But this training was pretty intense. It really was. It was, you know, the 1,000-yard swim, 1,000-yard run, swim, run tryout. And then once you're in training, it just gets elevated more and more. And the PSFA and CPR training that we did was very intense. It was just a step below EMT training from what I've been told by most of the instructors. And, you know, it just prepared us for what we are doing out there, you know, for when the shit does hit the fan, you know. And I felt so good. We kind of touched on this right when we were starting, but, you know, a lot of people I think maybe have lost faith in like the younger generation nowadays. Like they're on their phones, their tablets, we all can be. I know I can be. But what I saw in this training class gave me a lot of faith. It was 16 to 18-year-old kids that were, you know, competing for a job, but also at the end of the day, coming together as a group. And at the end of the day, we had Instructor Valdez had us say this saying, and we'd all get up at the end of class and go, "I am not the center of the universe. I am here to serve. Hoorah!" You know, and it's kind of like, at first I thought, oh, this is kind of fun. Like, but really at the end of this 8 weeks of doing it, I looked around me and I saw 16, 17-year-old kids proudly saying that, like, I'm not the center of the universe, dude. I am here to help the public, to help the world, you know? And these kids trained so hard. They continued to better themselves. I saw some of them when we were, doing the practical tests that were biting their fingernails, and they're like, "Hey, dude, can I ask you a question?" Or like, dude, like their whole world. I'm like, dude, just take a breath. Like we're all in this together. We're going to get through it, and we're all nervous, but these younger kids that really wanted it and they wanted to serve, and they are now, I've seen a couple of them. Dude, I made some lifelong little friends that are like less than half my age.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
It's kind of what you just said about you walking up into the tower with Ben Carlson working as a 7th or 8th year lifeguard. You had this tiny interaction on what would be a friendship and in fast forwarding now with everything that's going on with the foundational stuff, like look at the interaction that lifeguarding brings. It could be so simple and quick, just like rescuing someone out of the water. Now their kid gets to go back home with their family.
Yeah.
Or like this, the interpersonal stuff with someone you maybe just met, they're half your age, but you both are getting smoked on a workout together.
Oh, yeah.
And nervous for the same thing. It's like this common goal, this camaraderie that doesn't happen when you go to other professions in the same way, right? Yeah, you're friends with people at work and all stuff, but there's nowhere else where you're freezing your butt off, you're in a Speedo and you're getting yelled at.
I mean, I'm sure there's like in the military and stuff like that, but I mean, but
not in the civilian way of like, you can just go from being at high school this week and go to lifeguard training and get that. You have to go through the military pipeline. You have to go through this with these other crazy academies that are not usually for 16-year-olds. Right? Yeah. And so it's cool to see your perspective coming back at it with a more mature look.
It was pretty cool. And I had this kid, Carter Penrod, who, I think his uncle was a Newport guard, and then I think his name's Rand, and then his father is like an LA County firefighter, and just the coolest kid who I remember from the tryout. We didn't really talk, and then he sat in front of me the whole class, and he's 16 years old, dude, and he would always be checking in on me like, "How you doing, old man? Like, you hanging in there?" Like, like joking around, but like. And dude, we were like battling it out in the swims. But by the end of it, dude, I'm like, we're hugging each other saying, "I love you, bro." Like, and I'm 38-year-old man. He's a 16-year-old kid, man, but like we're lifelong bros, and I just saw the other day, he made a rescue at Doheny, like, and that camaraderie that starts in the training and then you work together. And I was talking with a guard the other day during my shift about it, like, 90% of the time we're up there, it's quiet, it's crickets. Maybe we're making our prevents, but dude, there's going to be days where there's a unconscious victim to the left of our tower and we're all in and we're using that training, or there's a gnarly rescue and we are swimming them in for 20 minutes and we're exhausted together. And that just brings us even more together as a unit, as brothers and sisters of life saving,
And how cool that these kids get to, and I always say kids, but they're working on becoming adults.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm sure a lot of them looked up to you too for, hey, I saw that video of you on Surfline surfing some gnarly wave, or I saw you at Puerto, like, hey, how do I get into, I mean, I'm sure you had questions like that too, where these guys gals are looking up to you, go, hey, I mean, you're already doing it, right? This higher caliber of ocean knowledge, whether it's surfing, paddling, in charge of the bended go paddle, all that kind of stuff, they get to also look up to you for that. But you guys are sitting in the same tower, right? And it's like this, it brings the level the
we're
same.
Equal,
That's what I think is so unique. A lot of spots that you have this chain of command, let's call it, of, with law enforcement, other places. And once again, I'm not putting it down. It's just, it's a different dynamic where everyone's on the same level when you come into the ocean. Right? Yeah. And your versatility in that governs your kind of credibility.
Well, whether it's like Ben Carlson, like he was the reason, like I am welcome in Puerto Escondido. He hooked me up with friends down there. He gave me training advice and like what boards, like, I've always had people that from when I read a magazine about Mavericks and wanted to become a big wave surfer when I was like 10 years old, it was a surfer's journal, that I've always asked questions to, and like, dreams that looked so far off then slowly become a reality. And then you set goals, but it's always the people, and they're your peers or the people you work with. And a lot of them are fellow lifeguards, or like a Greg Long or someone like that, who's so, and those people, I'm sure there's some really good athletes out there who like to keep their own, strategies and stuff to themselves, but it's the people that lend their knowledge and really help they realize, okay, I'm not going to be up on top of this mountain forever. I might as well help some people on their journey, because it's a lifetime of journey and learning and knowledge that you accumulate, and you learn from your mistakes and all that.
Well, and then these kids have access, like you said, it brings that stuff to more of a reality.
Yeah.
I mean, they're one step removed from going with you on a surf trip to Puerto. If there's a motivated young kid, like you said, that took you that way, it's because the role models we had when we were younger, it brings them into that same fold, and you pass it on to the next generation.
Exactly.
There's this openness to that profession and to the ocean and to Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Where if you respect it, you learn how to respect it. We all learn how to enjoy it together. And
Exactly.
not just serving the public so they enjoy it, but ourselves. That's why we're lifeguards, right?
Yeah.
It's because we get to be there and get paid to do it. And,
Yeah.
Right. Like that's all part of it.
Exactly.
So talk to me about, so you're back now working for state parks, but let's talk about
Crystal Cove.
Yeah.
Shout out to my crew in Crystal Cove.
I think it's so funny too that you and Tim both went through and now, because there's always a little bit of
Tim will call me a rookie all summer long. What's up, rookie?
He's gonna love it.
Hey, Tim.
So back me up first. Let's start with, for whoever might not know, the Ben Carlson situation, right? The rescue, the origin, what you were doing, where you guys were at friendship wise, or what was happening.
Yeah.
Give us a little backstory on that for those that might be tuning in, let's say for the first time on the podcast.
Sure.
And then let's go into how that progressed to the Bended Go Paddle and the foundation, of course,
Yeah.
I got involved in all that.
So again, like from that rookie, break, from first meeting Ben that way, we grew as friends. I got to work at Malarkey's with him, lifeguard alongside him. But then, like we were talking, really get like knowledge from him, and as far as big waves and being like a well-rounded waterman, or trying to be, he really helped out a lot in all of that. And then there was a place that I really wanted to go surf big waves, big barreling waves in mainland Mexico, Puerto Escondido. And him and our friend Skeeter Leaper were like regulars down there. They would go down, and not only go down, but they'd bring stuff for their friends, Oscar Moncada, Edwin Morales, Coco Nogales, like the heavy locals down there. And they just all hit it off. Those guys, when they came to Newport, would stay with Skeeter and Ben, and like vice versa. And so I expressed interest in going down there, and Ben and Skeeter, like, I remember my first trip, which was about 15 years ago, they fully linked me up with them, the local crew down there. And I remember going down and like looking at these huge waves on the beach, and this guy rolling up next to me, and it was Oscar Moncada. And he's like, "Hey man, are you Spencer?" And I was like, "Yeah, like what's up?" And he's like, "Yeah, you're friends with Ben and Skeeter." Like, and these are two lifeguard friends of mine that have linked me up with a crew that is so gnarly and so well known, like a whole world away, right? Down almost by the border of Guatemala, And so that's where my relationship with the people down there began, and the community down there that I love so much. And so fast forward to July 6th of 2014, I was down in Puerto on that south swell and surfed some massive, massive waves that day. It was a huge swell. A lot of pros from all over the world were there. Surfed all day long, and then, had some dinner and went to bed, and, kind of spotty reception. And I look over when I'm falling asleep, and my phone's ringing, and it says Trav, and that's my older brother, who was in Newport Guard still at the time. And I remember answering the phone, and he just goes, "Dude, Ben died today." And I'll never forget that call. It was like, what? Like, I literally didn't think it was true, because Ben was just, like we talked about, he was the upper echelon of like waterman and lifeguard for all of California in my eyes. He was finishing the requal swim first by a mile. Like, he was so physically fit and just had endurance and, work ethic like no other. And so I was just so shocked by that. And, I wasn't even sad at first because I was in such shock. Woke up the next morning, and this is how, like, how quickly word had gotten out and how much the community loved Ben. We all paddled out the next day, and like Coco and Oscar and his friend Lucano and Edwin, they all had gotten word and all kind of came out, and like we all hugged and we all kind of sat in a circle, waves still firing, spitting tubes, but all took time to like kind of sit in a circle and like, like hold hands and like say a little prayer for Ben. And, then I think I flew home like a day or two later, saw the morning of our whole city, all lifeguards up and down the state came to Newport to watch over Newport's waters, while all Newport lifeguards went to the memorial. I think it was on like a Thursday evening over at 65th Street.
When did you find out? Is that when you kind of got the details of what actually had happened, that it was during a rescue?
Yeah. I mean, I had gotten details like the day after, but the details started to come out, and it was just like...
And for someone that doesn't know, just give the once over on the...
Yeah, so he was on the lifeguard rescue boat with Gary Conwell, one of his best friends, and that team is like the dream team right there, like, your water's safe, which it was. And there was a guy in distress out off like 15th Street. And like I said, that was a massive south swell. Like, and right there at 15th Street, all the way to 18th Street, some of those waves break with such force that like, it's worse than the wedge. Like, it's crazier than the wedge. Like, it is top to bottom, pound for pound, as gnarly as it gets, and for our shores in Newport. And he saw the swimmer in distress. They backed down the boat. Ben jumped off, got the swimmer into his buoy, started swimming him out, and a massive set came, sucked them both over. And unfortunately, Ben didn't surface. The swimmer did. He was still in the buoy, got washed ashore, saved. And they found Ben's body, I think an hour or two later, all the way around the pier on the other side of 28th Street groin, just showing how much water was moving that day. And yeah, it was this morning, and it was so sad for our community. Like, I think everyone was in disbelief, but it was also at a time where lifeguards were getting a little bit of flack, in the papers saying, oh, why do these guys make, their pensions so big? There was a lot of scrutiny. Oh, why are they getting paid as much as firefighters and this and that? Well, this single act of saving a life, which was one of thousands for Ben, it stopped all that chatter. And it quickly made people realize these little preventative actions, and maybe what you feel is nagging at you on the beach, on the shoreline, this is all to help save your life. And that ocean out there is not a swimming pool. There are rip currents. There are, massive waves that hit our shores. We're trying to help you, and I think it really paused everyone and went, wow, lifeguards save lives. And lifeguards are so the fabric of our coastline, up and down, the West Coast, the East Coast, like lakes, rivers, wherever. They're here to save and to serve, And Ben Carlson, unfortunately, it took his passing to really just shine that light on what lifeguards do. And it was sad times in those first few years. But I look at it now, we're coming up on his 11th anniversary of his passing. And there is so much positive that has come out of Ben's passing, and out of the foundation, and out of what we're doing for water safety locally, nationally, and worldwide. Whether it's the scholarships, international lifeguard agency outreach. We now have like swim classes that we're doing for kids in inner cities that don't know how to swim, and giving them scholarships to go to junior lifeguard programs, stuff that we talked about early on. That's like, it seems so easy, but it's not for everyone who doesn't have access to a pool or the ocean or the financial means. we're doing, our water safety coalition that's helping agencies up and down the coast, have best practices all aligned. And there's so many good things the foundation's doing. And so, you go from what could have been just sorrow and pain forever regarding someone's passing. And we, as a community, we turned it to positive, and that's what I think we have to do and continue to do.
Thanks for making it this far into the podcast. I just want to remind you guys as you're listening that the Ben Carlson Memorial Paddle is coming up, and it is a fundraising event. This year specifically, I've made a challenge through the Lifeguard Project for lifeguards to donate just $5 through the Lifeguard Project on the Mighty Cause website. You'll have the link below in the episode, and if you click, I just want to see how many lifeguards we can get to donate $5, basically the equivalent of a morning coffee, and see how much we can raise. So whether you're a lifeguard in Australia, New Zealand, the US, East Coast, West Coast, the goal is that you look at this link, send it to another lifeguard, and encourage them to donate $5. So please and thank you, check the link, donate $5, send it to another lifeguard, and let's see how much money we can raise together by just dropping in $5. And thank you so much. I will see Newport as a hub of the new wave of lifeguard culture.
I totally agree with
you. And like you said, it's what a crazy event that no one has control over, right? It happened. How do you move forward from that? And to see the momentum that's been built, like you were just saying, here we are 11 years later, all the stuff that's happening in the Ben Carlson Foundation is the epicenter, and Newport community's approach to that. Like you said, the chatter stopped, people tuned in, and now there's this, what I think is like this new wave of approach.
And the coolest thing, now there's a Benjamin Carlson lifeguard headquarters at the base of the Newport Pier, and there's a statue that you can always go see. And I love it when people come and I'll be cruising by and they're like kind of looking and they start reading what the statue's all about. And I also guarantee you that if you went into any rookie class in the last, 9-10 years and went and asked those rookies, like, why are you here today on the first day or maybe at the end of graduation? What motivated you to become a lifeguard? I guarantee you a lot of those folks are going to say Ben Carlson did. I heard Ben's story. I knew I was here when I heard about Ben passing, and I was inspired to become a lifeguard. Any guy or girl,
Did you talk about it at Lifeguard?
So that's one thing. I wish I would have been able to ask more kids, but I did ask a couple, and I talked about the Ben paddle at the end of training.
Cool.
I didn't want to stick out. I wanted to be just,
you're hiding on
I'm equal, and I'm no greater than any of those kids. And they all inspired me,
I remember when it first happened and at lifeguard training, we talked about it as from a training perspective, right? Like, hey guys, this is real.
Yeah.
This just happened.
Yep.
Everything we're telling you is not because we want to yell at you for no reason. It's because we've had little examples of things going sideways or whatever. The passing of Ben Carlson during a rescue as a lifeguard was one of the most pivotal moments in lifeguard history.
Absolutely.
In our modern day, right? And so it just brings that little level of reality to the training and the purpose behind it. And I remember specifically a bunch of the instructors, it was the first year after, breaking down in tears when they were talking about it. And it wasn't even one of ours, let's say, but it was just like you said, even all the other agencies that come to let the Newport guards do their thing and they guard the beach for you. Those little things are indicative of what, doesn't matter what agency, where you are in the world. I believe the essence of lifeguarding brings you to that level of connectedness and community.
Yeah.
And how cool for them to be able to have you, someone who is such a close friend and has a more intimate relationship with that, to gather even more inspiration. I guarantee that maybe they don't want to ask or they're nervous when they talk to you or something, they're going to look up to you for a lot of things.
About that.
It's Spencer Pirdy.
I was looking up to some of the 16-year-old kids.
But no doubt, right? For them, I think they're going to have that innately in them ingrained because it is such a crazy thing. So
Yeah.
super cool for them to be like, and just like this, like, let's talk about it on the podcast. If they can't talk to you because they don't work at Crystal Cove for state parks, they can be talking to you right now in the town,
Yeah.
right? Like in a way, that's the whole idea.
Yeah.
So talk to me now about the Bended Go paddle.
Yeah.
And is that the biggest fundraiser section of the whole foundation, or like, forgive me for not like,
No, I think it is.
brings in the most, not that it's about money, but
Yeah.
it's,
No,
people are responding to the paddle, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone loves it. And we've done, it's cool because it started off the first year as just like me paddling over. I stupidly did a marathon on a Saturday on the island, hate running, and then paddled back with Aaron Pearsall, Olympic backstroker, and my buddy Dave McCabe, who knew Ben as well and guarded with him. So that was like the first year. And then the next year, year two was like, and I think we raised the first year like $10,000. Second year was like, there were like 15, 20 of us, and we went out and we raised like, I think $15,000. And then it's just grown exponentially every year by the amount of participants and the money raised. And, the year before last, we raised, I think, 200,000. This year, past year, the ninth, we raised 250. And this year we're trying to raise 300,000, and now we expect, we had a great interest meeting with all the paddlers. We're about to, a week from today, we'll be doing our first like qualifier paddle, which is, it's basically twofold, to get into the event. You have to show us that you can physically do it, qualifying, doing these 15-mile paddles, which is only half the distance, and going at a certain pace that we have set. And then also raising the money. So helping us fundraise. And each paddler has a $2,000 per paddler goal to fundraise. And I remember it was funny during this year's meeting, I was up there talking about it, and I said just that, like, hey, we ask you to help us raise $2,000, per paddler. And this kid who was in the audience texted me and was like, hey, dude, thanks for like having us. We can't afford $2,000 though. We're out. And I was like, wait, okay. And I like was off stage and I read the text and I went back up there and I was like, hey, I want to make something clear. Like, and this is to everyone who's listening, like, we're not asking for your money. We're not asking for that. This isn't like, I just paid $300 the other night to be in the Catalina Classic this year, which is a race. And I'm going to go hard and see where I finish, but I pay to be in that race. Our event is an endurance fundraising event. And we don't ask for your money. We ask for you to help us fundraise. Mm-hmm. So that means if you're in an office and you have an email list of all your coworkers, tell them what you're doing and send out an email and see if they can donate 10, 25, $100 per person and help you hit that goal. Walk around your block. If you're a Grom, I tell all the kids to do this. Like, and a couple of kids did it like one year right after the paddle and got all their money raised. Like, walk around and say you're going to paddle 30 miles in memory of Ben Carlson, and all the money goes towards water safety. And you can show each facet of what the foundation is doing with the money, International Lifeguard Agency outreach, scholarships, all of it. And so it's funny, like, we don't want you to write a check.
Just pay
just exactly. Go find people and tell them what you're doing. Like, I guarantee you tell your grandmother you're about to go paddle 30 miles. I have a grandma in Oklahoma who always donates, and she's never even been in the Pacific Ocean, but she thought the story of Ben Carlson, I mean, everyone saw it. It was all over national, worldwide news, and it's lifeguarding affects everyone, everywhere. We have visitors from everywhere, all over the world, come to our shores, and people that we have to help. So there's somebody that is going to get saved this summer from the Midwest, and they'll forever remember being rescued, by a lifeguard who may get a scholarship from our foundation, or who maybe was inspired to be a lifeguard by Ben Carson. It's just this trickle down effect
Well, and the foundation is doing so many things, and it's easier for me to say it because I've been involved now with the Lifeguard project and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I've seen it. For people that don't know, they start learning about it takes time to activate people to learn about the story if they hadn't heard about Ben Carlson, then to pick up what the foundation is really doing. And let's not forget, we're like a decade after.
Yeah.
And the foundation is going stronger and stronger than it, right? It's like it's been this upward
it really has
of the outreach and all stuff they've done, like the Brad class that we were at down in Puerto. And the things they're doing are so actionable, and
they're actionable and they're positive. And like, that's what I think it is. Like, to move forward, you got to keep moving, action, and then be positive. And that's what we're trying to do. And like, I think that's
my point is that's what the money goes to.
Yep.
Right. Like people, you're not paying an entry.
No.
You're helping be part of this bigger cause.
Yeah.
And this is why I did the post for the lifeguards, right? I mean, I just paid, I don't know what, $6 for a regular coffee. Like anywhere you look, there's a chance to donate to something.
Yeah.
Everything's expensive nowadays. You can't go to a restaurant with your significant other and pay less than $100, it seems.
No, you can't.
If you're in California.
No, you can't.
Let alone other stuff. We could complain for the end of our lives for how expensive stuff is and whatever.
Yeah.
But the approach, if you understand what the foundation is doing, the community of lifeguarding and that intertwined thing, like stuff we've just been talking about, this is you putting your drop in the bucket. And if everyone puts a drop in the bucket, that your glass gets full.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's why for me, right, I want to do, hey, every lifeguard's got to do $5.
Yeah.
What's $5? You probably got $5 crumpled up in your jeans in the laundry right now.
Yeah,
that's,
exactly.
Whatever. But it's not about the $5. It's not about the money. It's about that if every lifeguard shows their little change, right? And hey, I'm going to throw a $5 in, and you see how many lifeguards respond. This is of the impact that we have on the broader community, on the broader things, where now the foundation is going to take that money and exponentially make it work better, right? Someone's getting a scholarship, like you said. Someone's getting rescued by someone who maybe wanted to become a lifeguard because they heard about the story. Someone in Pueblo, a local, got training on how to save someone, and they've been.
You and your family are in Costa Rica, and randomly the lifeguards there respond to an emergency that's going on right next to you, and they use an AED that they got with the money that we sent down. Like, it's just all
money's going to such an important thing, and it's easy for us to say because we're in it. But I just want people. I think people need to realize that it's like, and I'm so impressed that. I mean, $250,000, right?
Yeah, I think we're at,
I'm saying
709. Oh, yeah.
250.
And then I think after the last 10 years, it's been like $790,000 we've raised. So
right, that's insane, dude.
It's pretty cool.
And that's not the money value that's the success. It's what they do with the foundation.
Yeah,
that's.
And that's what we're really trying to show is that, and we're getting better at like showing exactly what we're doing. I was just down in Puerto on my bachelor party. But my whole crew, we all brought uniforms from Florence. We brought buoys, we brought fins, we brought hats from Melon, fins from Yucca, shout out to Starkey.
Mm-hmm.
And we gave back, and that was just one little tiny mission that we have with our relationship with the Puerto Escondido lifeguards, and we have all of these ever growing relationships through our international lifeguard agency outreach. And I mean, you were there for, we should talk about that. The first time we met on a like dark and
foggy
morning, on our way down at like 1 a.m. So the first time I've ever met Drasco was we were doing the first ever B-Rag in collaboration with the Ben Carlson Foundation down in Puerto Escondido. And so me and my now fiance, Michelle, drive down to catch our flight out of Tijuana at like midnight. And we pick up this guy over here who's huffing his like literally 100-pound like bags up a hill and met us like at a convenient point. So we didn't have to go all the way into Encinitas, right?
Yeah.
And
I was crashing on a lifeguard's couch naturally.
Yep. And then we picked you up, and that was our first time meeting. And like that, what a special trip that was, I mean, we can talk about it right now, but like we set out, with an idea and a plan and worked with the B-Rag guys, John Hoover, Kaipo, Greg Long. Who else was there? From Puerto Rico. Why am I forgetting? Otto Flores. And this great crew. And through the Ben Carlson Foundation and the funding, we were able to put, I think, 130 surfers, community members, photographers, filmers at one of the gnarliest beaches on the planet. Like, talk about the wedge. It's 5 or 6 of the wedges up and down the beach, with a huge tourist population and just a lot that can go wrong on a daily basis. We put 130 people through CPR, first aid training, life-saving techniques, whether they have a surfboard or not, spinal immobilization. And then you were such a pivotal part in that. Talk about your experience. I mean, I want to hear it.
No, it's cool just to see, like I said, for me, it's easy to talk about the foundation because I've gotten to be part of those things now through the project and through getting involved. To see 130 locals go through simple, it's in the end, it's not that difficult to do CPR. It really isn't. It's about the awareness of when and how to do it and knowing a little bit so you're confident to do it.
Yeah.
But this simple act that the foundation is doing and then being able to see it there, to take photos of the event, to see the teaching happen, to see 13-year-old kids practicing CPR with their dad.
Yeah.
And they're all surfers. And then to see, I think, I don't know, it was a couple weeks later, they had some gnarly rescue there and they're using those skills. This is the value. It's not like I was saying, it's not the dollar sign. It's not the piece of paper or the check you write. It's when you get to see that, and we weren't, it was for the locals there, right? So not everyone, it wasn't like a publicized event necessarily. We did a post and a story about it. But when you get to see that and then they're using those skills, just like we were talking about, that cloth of lifeguarding, that cloth of water safety, and spreading that, all rooting from the story of, raising money after the passing of Ben Carlson, that positivity that goes on, just, you can't measure the amount of value that has, and I think potentially will have. I think
we were talking about this when we were having breakfast burritos, but an event like that, when you're not a lifeguard, not everyone wants to be a lifeguard, right? But there's a lot of people who are surfers, who are ocean goers, paddlers, whatever it may be, that will come across emergencies and need their, like we talked about, those first 5 minutes. They need to, instead of freezing up, they need to react and to make positive headway in those crucial moments. And like, there's something about communities coming together, like we saw down there in mainland Mexico, where, they're a community like us, but, they all came together. And some of them maybe didn't really care for each other at the beginning or whatever. But we saw this crew come together, work on CPR together, work on first aid, rescue techniques. And by the end of it, everyone in that big circle holding hands while you explained in amazing Spanish the mission of the Ben Carlson Memorial and Scholarship Foundation. And man, that crew is so much stronger. And there's something about that, like going through that training and then, one day you very well, sooner than later, are going to have to use it.
Exactly. And that is the value that is created, right? And that is the benefit of having things like that. And what's also lacking, right? It's just getting people together to care for each other.
Yeah.
Whether that's with medical skills or just, hey, watch out, there's something's unsafe here, or instead of having that like localism or whatever. So it's like, hey, let's look out for each other, because in the end, that's where the things go wrong in the ocean so quickly. And if you know that and you feel that, you know that you can make the most impact with such a simple level of training. And so providing that is that momentum now that's happening it's just getting bigger, right? With the foundation having.
I think like another thing that like is huge that we're doing with the foundation is we've partnered with B-Rag too, and like we started with that one Puerto Escondido summit, and now it's starting to grow. And I mean, because we're doing exactly what we're talking about right here, bringing communities together, helping to facilitate this training, you know, and yeah, you go from being like, oh, that's the guy that always takes my waves out at, 36th Street to, he's kind of cool. We just learned CPR together, and actually like we talked, and like now I kind of have a relationship with this person. And if that guy goes down, I know how to save him, or I know I'm safe if he's in the water, if something happens to me.
And so to me, let's bring it back to the very beginning of this conversation. Like, you walk into a room of a bunch of complete strangers that are half your age back at lifeguard training.
Yeah.
That's what it forces you to do.
Yeah.
So to me, when I was at the Bragg event taking the photos and stuff through the foundation, that's what I felt. I felt that same energy, that same essence that I do with lifeguarding. Yes. Yeah. No one I've ever met, but that same common goal to do better, to do good, to look out for each other.
Yep.
That's the value of what is actually this fundraising is doing.
Yep.
That's the thing you can't take a photo of, or, you can do everyone holding hands.
Can't put money.
But like when someone looks out for you, you're looking over and you can trust the person next to you in the water that they're going to have your back. You have theirs. That's priceless. And so this is what's now in Newport, spreading through the world, through the foundation, all these little things that are still just gaining more momentum as they go. That's it, dude. Like that is why. And that's why I want to be a part of it too. Right. Yeah. And same, they're supporting the foundation, supporting the podcast, all these conversations that people can have access to, and spread all those things. Like, that's where that value lies. So, well, nice. Well, we can talk. I don't even know, double check what time you got to go, but I want to finish it by saying,
a few more minutes. Yeah.
With the paddle coming up, just more logistics and stuff. What's some things you want people to know? And then end it with, hey, how can they get involved? Where can they donate? How do they donate? And that kind of stuff with the Bended Go paddle.
Yeah. So, our paddle for the Bended Go 10.0 this year, it's going to be from Avalon and Catalina back to the Newport Pier, 30 miles roughly, hoping the wind and weather conditions are on our side. And that'll be Saturday, September 13th. So to anyone who's around, be at the base of the Newport Pier, there are different ways that you can help, assist in the paddle if you're not paddling. If you have a boat and you want to donate your time, we've got tons of paddlers who are still probably looking for boat assist. So you can reach out to us at the Ben Carlson Memorial and Scholarship Foundation via the email, the info at bencarlsonfoundation.com. I believe that's it. And we can help, find some paddlers for you. If you are looking to paddle, we got our first qualifier coming up. You may still have a shot at getting into it. And to do so, I kind of talked about it, but it's, you got to qualify through physically paddling, but then also qualify through helping us fundraise, and reaching out and getting out there, telling what the foundation's doing and Ben's story. And then, lastly, if you would love to donate, which we would just be overwhelmed with joy if you did, you can go to mightycause.com. That's where we're doing all of our fundraising. And if you just search the Bended Go 10.0 on there, if you have a paddler, you want to help donate towards their cause, you can select them, or you can just donate to the general Bended Go 10.0 on Mighty Cause. And our goal is $300,000 this year for water safety. And it's just incredible how far it's come. And it's just a community that continues to grow. Like we've talked about through this whole podcast on so many different levels, it affects people. So
what's your favorite part of this whole process?
Of the paddle?
Just, all parts of the paddle from beginning to end, because you're dealing with a lot of logistics in the back and stuff, but what is your favorite?
My favorite is when we finally get over there, and then it's like the anticipation before, because I've done a few now, and I do the races. The races are really, because then you're like, the Bended Go crossing is really enjoyable. And I like to see everyone's faces too. Like if they're trained up and they've done it a couple times, they're like, dude, this is awesome. If maybe they're not trained up and they've done it a couple times, you can see them go like, oh, I don't know, tomorrow's going to suck.
Getting ready to get in some.
And then the people that are trained up but have never done it, I like watching that, because it's like this unknown, and they've taken the boat over and they're like, that was a long boat ride. And now I have to paddle that tomorrow. But I'm like, I just like to reassure them, dude, you did the homework. You are ready for test day. Like you've put in the hard work. You're going to be fine. And it's great when we hit our goal because we've done the hard training. We've done the fundraising. Now it's time to enjoy. And I swear, Drasco, every time there's some little, pot of dolphins or a whale one year that dove a couple times, that it's like Ben's spirit is amongst us. And that's so cool.
Absolutely.
So it's like it really is a spiritual like crossing and something that's unique. So I love the whole process.
No, I love, and thank you for putting all that together. And, I know the logistics of just getting anything like that going is so immense, and it's only grown, and you could have
got a lot of really good help. Like everyone, Mark Schuline, Rob Williams, Tim, like everyone on the foundation, Katie, everyone.
But it's a huge workload to make it happen in the background and the logistics. Yeah. And it's fun to be the one that you go in there and you do the paddle and you raise the money. That's almost the easy part, right? And so kudos to you, because like I said, it's only grown and gone up, and it hasn't lost momentum. That's impressive. Like it's like a decade you've been doing this now.
Yeah,
right.
And just keep it.
And so, dude, like that speaks for itself, right? And I think all the people that are getting involved are then walking away with not just Ben's story, not just contributing to these bigger projects that the foundation is doing, but it to me brings all of those things together.
Yeah,
right? It all comes together with the paddle. Yeah, you as really Ben's friend, progressing this thing. We're keeping that story alive because it is such a pivotal thing for lifeguards in general, no matter where you work. And then just the impact that it has afterwards. It's like, I can't say enough good things about it. And I'm stoked because last year I couldn't do it. So this year I'm going to be that one that's
he's doing it, people.
Hopefully trained up, and I got to be careful with my expression.
I'm going to be looking at into his eyes the night before. You ready, Drasco? He'll be ready. He'll be ready.
Yeah, I promise. I will. But yeah, and then just
hopefully we get Valdez and Scoggins, and dude, come on, guys.
They've been called out officially.
Yeah, let's do it.
And then just a reminder to the lifeguards, through the Lifeguard project, why stop at 2,000? There's definitely more than, whatever 2,000 divided by 5, whatever that number is. There's definitely more lifeguards in the world than that.
Oh, yeah.
And sacrifice your morning coffee, or, think about that, because $5 is the minimum on Mighty Cause that you can donate.
Yep.
And so I want to see, I purposely didn't say too much about it, just made the one post, and I want to see if the lifeguards can. It's a challenge, right? Like, bring this to your other lifeguard buddies. Hey, did you donate $5? Cool. It's $5, right? It's the minimum you can do on there. But if we all donate $5, let's see what we can get the Lifeguard project number donation to. Because the foundation has given me a lot in making the podcast happen. If you've gotten this far in this episode, this is why you're listening to it, is because of the Ben Carlson Foundation. Same with a lot of the photos and stuff that I've gotten access to do. So if you're a lifeguard, that's your responsibility. Even if you already donated to other people, you do $5 for Lifeguard project to show that lifeguard, the thing we've been just talking about, that community, that family. If we each do a little pitch, the impact is exponential.
I got to do my donation.
Yeah.
So
I'm holding you accountable, and then you get to see my expression when I'm over there paddling. So, that's good. I should have used that music for the post.
There we go.
Yeah. But cool, Spencer. Well, anything else that, just closing out, anything else you want to, leave out there, advice, thoughts, something I didn't ask you that you'd like to finish with?
No, maybe there's one thing I want to say, and that's if there's anyone out there who's always wanted to be a lifeguard, who's always, or maybe was before, and, is entertaining the idea, that was me about, a year ago, for like maybe the last 10 years before. And you do it. You can do it. Maybe a little uncomfortable, but it's so worth it. Get back out there and serve for the first time if you want, because it's so special. And I really, really think, you only get one life, and there are second shots out there to go back to a job that you loved before or something that you've always wanted to do. So I strongly suggest that you go follow your dreams if you've got it. All right.
Absolutely. It's the best job in the world.
Best job in the world. So stoked to be back.
All right, Spencer. Well,
all right. Thanks, Travis.
Right on, man.
Cheers.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Lifeguard Project podcast and generally in supporting the podcast altogether. As a reminder, if you haven't clicked that link yet to donate $5 for the Ben Carlson Memorial Paddle and sent it to another lifeguard, please do so. It's just a social experiment to see how much impact we can make if everyone pitches in their drop in the bucket. Moving forward, as future projects come up and media and coming together to sign resolutions or whatever it is that we do to advocate for lifeguards, I want to see the impact we can make here first. So once again, please consider donating your morning coffee to the Ben Carlson Foundation. If you've been following along with the Instagram, the YouTube, or the podcast, they're the ones that are helping make this happen. Thanks again, as always, for listening. See you on the next one.